Hello students. In this video, we'll be talking about the Chapter 2 Fundamentals of Partnership, and the subtopics to be covered are the preparation of Profit and Loss Appropriation Account with the help of an example. Let's take an example. I would suggest that you can pen down the important information given in the question for better understanding. A, B and C are partners in a business with capitals of rupees 1 lakh, 80,000 and 60,000 respectively, and sharing profit and losses in the ratio of 3:2:1. The partnership deed provides the following. B gets a salary of rupees 1,000 per month. Now since it is per month, that means we'll multiply it by 12. So for the year, the salary is 12,000. Interest on capital will be provided rupees 10,000, 8,000 and 6,000 respectively. It has already been calculated. C gets commission of rupees 4,000. Interest on drawings will be charged at rupees 500, 400 and 300 respectively. And the profit transferred to general reserve is 3,000. The profit for the year ended 31st March 2018 before taking the above facts is rupees 56,200. Pass necessary journal entries and draw profit and loss appropriation account. Now, since in this question we are required to pass journal entries, let's just have an overview of the question to find out that what are the parameters for which we have to pass journal entries. First of all, we have an entry for salary. Second, interest on capital. Third, commission. Fourth, interest on drawings. Fifth, the profit transferred to general reserve. And the very first entry should be for the transfer of profit from P&L to P&L appropriation account. And the last entry should be for the divisible profit or loss. Now let's look at the solution. I have passed the first three entries relating to two parameters. The first entry is for the transfer of profit from profit and loss account to profit and loss appropriation account. As I've already taught you in the previous video that the profit is always shown as a balancing figure on the debit side. Therefore, profit and loss account is debited and it is transferred on the credit side of P&L appropriation account. Therefore, P&L appropriation is credited. The next two entries are relating to salary. Salary being an expense is debited, and since the partner receives it, partner's capital account is credited. The salary as an expense is transferred to the debit side of P&L appropriation account. Therefore, the entry P&L appropriation account DR to B's salary. Now let's see how these three items would be shown in the P&L appropriation account. The salary will be transferred to the debit side of P&L appropriation account according to the entry that we passed. So on the debit side, we write to B's salary 12,000. The profit would be transferred to the credit side of P&L appropriation account in the name of profit and loss account. So by P&L account, that is the net profit 56,200. Let's look at the further entries. The next two entries which I have mentioned are regarding interest on capital. Interest on capital is an expense for the firm, hence debited, and the partners receive it, therefore the partners' capital account are credited. Interest on capital, being an expense, is transferred to the debit side of P&L appropriation account. Hence the entry P&L appropriation account DR to interest on capital. Now let's see how these items will be shown in the profit and loss appropriation account. Interest on capital will be debited in P&L appropriation account. On the debit side, we write to interest on capital. You have to show it separately for all the partners and then the total is shown in the amount column. Please remember that we are only making the postings of the entries where P&L appropriation account is debited or credited. The next journal entries are relating to commission. Just like interest on capital, commission is also an expense, therefore debited. and partner is receiving it, so partner's capital account is credited. Commission is transferred to the debit side of P&L appropriation account, hence the entry P&L appropriation account Dr to C's commission. In the profit and loss account, C's commission would be shown on the debit side. The next journal is relating to the interest on drawings. Now, interest on drawings is an income for the business, for the firm, therefore it is credited. And the partners need to pay the interest on drawings to the firm, therefore the partners' capital accounts are credited. Interest on drawings, being an income, is transferred to the credit side of P&L appropriation account. Let's look at the P&L appropriation account. Interest on drawings has been transferred to the CR side of P&L appropriation account according to the journal that we passed. So this is the posting that we have made. The next journal is regarding the transfer to general reserve and the distribution of profit. Please note that the entry for distribution of profit can be done only after we completely make the P&L appropriation account and do its balancing. This is how the transfer to general reserve will be shown in P&L appropriation account. Since our entry is P&L appropriation debit to general reserve, that means P&L appropriation is debited in the name of general reserve. So we write to general reserve on the debit side. Similarly, when we balance the P&L account, the balancing figure comes on the debit side, which will be, it might come on the debit side or credit side, but in this question, the balancing figure is coming on the debit side, which is the divisible profit. The balancing figure is 14,400, which has been divided between the partners in the profit sharing ratio. The profit sharing ratio was 3:2:1. So 3/6, 2/6 and 1/6 respectively is the share of A, B and C in the divisible profit, that is 14,400. Now let's look at the profit and loss appropriation account for the year ended 31st March 2018. As I step by step told you and explained to you the respective entries that will be shown in the P&L appropriation account, now you can have a look at all of them together. Salary, interest on capital, commission and general reserve are shown on the debit side. Interest on drawings, being an income, is shown on the credit side. 56,200 is the profit that has been transferred from P&L account. And finally, when we do the balancing, our balancing figure or the divisible profit is 14,400. This is all about the solution of this question, where we were asked to do the journal entries and make the profit and loss appropriation account. I hope the concept is clear to you. Thank you so much for listening so attentively.